Hello everybody, this is J.R. Bizu and I'm with Expi Realty and I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm very excited to share with you what Expi is all about. And this will be a quick overview with a lot of information thrown at you, but you don't have to worry, I'll send you the PowerPoint slides, a copy of those so you can review them. And first I just wanted to share with you how I got started with Expi and became part of that, and also what it's doing for me and for my family and other agents, and how it's changing the real estate industry in a very positive way, especially in the way agents are being compensated. And of course, as agents, we should all love that, right? And we think that's excellent. So I'll just tell you my story. I got started in real estate in 2004, and like most agents, I really like the idea of being my own boss and setting my own income, being in charge of my schedule, when I went to work, what days I would work, what times I would work. I like that whole idea of being my own boss. So when I decided to get into real estate, a lot of people told me that I should look into and read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book by Robert Kiyosaki. And so I did that. And one of the big takeaways I got from the book was he explained the cash flow quadrants and that there's only 4 ways that you can really make any money. Well, the 4 ways to make money, on the left side of the quadrant, you've got E, which stands for employee. You've got S, which stands for self-employed. And then move to the right side of the quadrant, and you've got B for business owner and I for investor. So I was headed to the self-employed quadrant. This is where everybody with real estate is really headed. And Robert Kiyosaki says that this is almost the toughest way to make any money because I'm basically a one-man show, and if I can't work or I want to take a vacation, then my income stops too. And I think we all realize this in real estate at some point, that we're only good as our last sale. So even if I go out and make $20,000 or $30,000 or even more this month, as soon as this month is over, then I have to start all over again. And I get caught on that hamster wheel in that rat race. Well, then on the other side of the quadrant, he says that there was, as a business owner, the way you make money is to have a big business. And to be considered a big business, according to him, you needed to pass one kind of simple test and honestly answer this question. If I left my business for 6 months or more and came back, would my business be better off than when I left it? And if it is better off, then I would have created a true big business that makes money for me each and every month, whether I'm there or not. So based on that, I thought I needed to be the broker of my own office, and by 2006, I'd done just that, and I started our Bizu & Associates. And I thought I was on the right track, but I didn't realize that having agents was a lot of extra stress and liability and responsibility and money. And it just cost a lot to have the insurance, to train agents, to recruit agents, to retain agents. And I had to, or at least I thought I had to at that point, thought I had to have an office for them to go to work in and have computers and copiers and all that other stuff that goes along with it. So it took me about 10 years to really understand that the current model wouldn't work. And not just for me, but for brokers in general. I knew that brokers that had more than 200 agents doing business under their license, and they still couldn't walk away for 6 months. They'd be broke. They'd owe money, they'd have agents mad at them, and they'd be out of business. And this is where I was kind of just searching for a better way when I got introduced to Expi, and I remember it very well. I was hosting an open house in a nice downtown condo, and I was trying some new marketing, and so I'd sent out a few videos to advertise the open house, and one of the agents responded and said she was going to come and check out the open house. Well, at the open house, we started talking, just the usual stuff. How long have you been in business? What company you're with, etc., that kind of thing. And that talk eventually led to a meeting with Rob Flick. Now, I didn't know who Rob Flick was, and I didn't know that, but what I did learn about him was that he was in the military and that he had played rugby and that he was in the real estate business too. And I thought all that was great because I was also in the military and I also played rugby and I was in the real estate business. So I thought, hey, this feels like a good person to listen to since we have so many similarities and we have a lot of common ground. Well, plus he had what I wanted, which is he had grown his real estate business to the point where he was, and he still is, making $200,000 to $300,000 a year in residual income, and he's been totally in charge of how he spends his time for the last 15 to 20 years because of the work he put in for 3 years, 2 decades ago. And that's what I wanted, and so I figured I could listen to this guy. And as you can imagine, I wanted to know more, so he told me this quick version of his story. And he said he was a really good producing agent with Coldwell Banker. He was Rookie of the Year, things like that. He was doing really well financially, and anyway, he got sick with cancer. Now, this almost cost him his life, and it totally cost him all of his money and his business, everything that he had produced. And he had to move back in with his parents, and that really helped him to, to curb the time when he was fighting the cancer and recover and do all those types of things. And when he got better and he was back on his feet during that time, leading up to that, he came to the conclusion and the life revelation that his life was precious and that he needed to learn how to make at least $100 more per month than it would cost him to live every month. And then once he accomplished that, he'd be able to live full time and spend his time and energy doing the things that he wanted to do, just not spend all his time working like he had before. And so at this time, it was around 1996, and he was with Realty Executives. He'd gone back into the real estate business. Well, someone introduced him to the Keller Williams profit share idea. Now, at the time, Keller Williams had only about 1,600 agents in the whole company. So he really liked the profit share idea, and he took it and he ran with it and took it to a new level. And in 1 year, he brought in, recruited something like 100 agents to Keller Williams, and this got Gary Keller's attention, who then flew him out and said, "What are you doing?" He kind of told him. So Gary Keller would have Rob fly all around to different Keller Williams agents' offices and explain to him what he was doing to help build the company, and that helped all those other agents get inspired. And then the company blew up, and it's become the household name that we know it is today as the world's largest real estate company with over 150,000 agents. And he helped start all of that. So he has thousands and thousands of agents on his profit share team and is still the top 14th highest profit share earner in all of Keller Williams history. And like I said, he told me all of this not to brag on himself, but to get me to understand that he was happy being retired and living full time, but that because of EXP and the business model and the compensation plan that I'm about to explain to you, that he decided to come out of retirement, because he said if he could build the same size team at EXP that he did with Keller Williams, instead of making $200,000 to $300,000 a year, he would be making $3 to $5 million a year. And for him, that was enough incentive to come back and get back to work. And for me, it made me realize what a great opportunity this was. It really opened my eyes. And not only for me, but as a way to pay it forward and to share this with other agents too. Well, this is a very radically different platform than anything you've ever seen before in real estate. And so to get your head in the proper frame of reference, do you remember Blockbuster? We've all seen what happened to them and in many industries over the last few years because technology is changing everything, right? And so Blockbuster was the largest business of its kind and a multi-billion-dollar company. And then along come some people with the idea that they thought would enhance the business. And Blockbuster took a look at what they had and said, "Thanks, but no thanks, we're good." Well, that happened to be the Netflix people, and they went ahead with their idea without Blockbuster anyway. And 5 years later, Blockbuster is closed, and it's closed its store nationwide because the brick and mortar old school way of doing business just couldn't compete with the same service being offered through the cloud. And we've seen this happen over and over again in many different industries and many different areas. I mean, you think of record stores and iTunes and how that changed, retail stores and Amazon and how that's changing. Taxis and rideshare with like Lyft and Uber and those types of things. Now, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, this is a great history lesson, but how does this all relate to EXP? Well, at EXP, our trademark is the agent-owned cloud brokerage. And there's that word again, cloud. And just that slogan alone makes the culture radically different because we all own the company together, and as agents and brokers, that makes for a very interesting and dynamic culture. So rather than compete against each other, we share and we help each other because as you do better, so do I. And while all that is a great thought and a great sentiment, EXP is also the fastest growing real estate company in the history of the United States, and not by a little bit, but by a long, long shot. I mean, we've had hundreds of agents across the country move into EXP every month. And these are individual agents, these are teams, these are independent brokers moving their office over, and these are even entire franchise offices that are signing checks back to get out of their franchise contract and moving their entire office over because they believe it's better for them and for their agents. And in fact, if you know or have heard of Bob Corcoran, he's a real estate coach for teams, and you can Google him, look him up. Well, Bob Corcoran just recently joined EXP, and he's coaching 20 or 25 of the top 100 teams in the United States. So he's got a lot of influence on people that are doing a lot of transactions. And this is just kind of paraphrasing him, his words, not mine, but he told his team members, if they don't move to EXP, they're crazy. And so that's just a really great endorsement. So then I look at some of these traditional real estate companies, and they're great companies and they're icons in the industry. They've been around a long time. And then I look at EXP and what it's doing and the growth that's happening. And the question becomes, why is EXP growing so fast? Well, the answer is that at eXp Realty, we have 4 major disruptors. 1, we're a cloud-based real estate company. 2, we offer agents revolutionary lead generation systems. 3, we're an agent-owned company with publicly traded stock. And 4, we have an unparalleled revenue sharing opportunity. So any one of these 4 disruptors by itself would make a viable business, and we could talk about each one at length. But when you put all 4 of them together, we've literally just created the perfect storm of the real estate business. First and foremost, we're cloud-based. So we just talked about this within other industries, and this is how it starts for us with the cloud, because that means that we can have an entire office complex in the cloud, and we can do everything in the real estate industry from our cloud-based office that you can do in a brick and mortar office, but we don't have the overhead. That saves us millions and millions of dollars each year. And 2, then we can take that savings, and that allows us to provide lead generation systems to our fellow agent owners. And that's just a great perk of being an agent owner. The money isn't rolling uphill to some fat cats in ivory towers. It stays in the trenches to help the agents. So these lead generation systems cost thousands and thousands of dollars a year to run on your own. And you can buy these over the counter. You can purchase them right now. But because you're with EXP, or because I'm with EXP and we're agent owners, we get these systems completely free in order to help us generate more commissions. And every agent should love that idea, right? Well, Jeff and Amanda are a great example. Now, they do a lot of business in Houston, somewhere north of 175 transactions a year. And to do that kind of volume, they're spending about $2,000 a month for lead generation. So they joined EXP and they dug in to learn what conversion was all about. And within 2 months, they were able to replace all of their other lead generation tools. And now conversion is producing those transactions for them for free. So they were able to increase their income by $24,000 a year just by joining EXP and saving that money on lead generation. So here's where it gets interesting for you. Now imagine if you could close at least an additional 10 transactions each year using this system. Now how would that mean, or what would that mean to you in terms of extra commissions, right? And then even better, do you think that since they benefit as agent owners from the stock, that they're willing to show us how the system works and how they use it so that we could all do better and help increase the value of their stock also, which also increases the value of our stock at the same time? Do you see how it's a win-win? We're also a publicly traded company, and we have 6 different ways for agents to acquire stock. Now this is especially awesome because you're getting the stock for doing what you're already going to be doing anyway, which is selling real estate, right? And we're traded under the ticker symbol EXPI. And of course, there are no guarantees on stock. It can go up or it can go down. But what I do like about it all is that I have over 2,000 shares of stock that have been awarded to me for free for doing my job. So I'm pretty happy no matter what the stock is doing. And like my friend Lonnie says, he says this is especially true since I wasn't awarded any free stock at my last real estate company. And if you think about it that way, yeah, it's really kind of a big deal. So what kind of nest egg do you think you could create by acquiring stock for yourself over the next few years? Right now, a great example of this is Chris Lefebvre, and he's from Massachusetts. He was a school teacher and a part-time agent for 6 years before joining EXP. So then he found EXP and he used conversion, and he used the system to earn just over $200,000 in commissions. So he was able to go in as a full-time agent, and he was able to save $10,000 in the company stock that he bought at a 20% discount using the direct purchase plan. So now he's saved $10,000 that he got in company stock. So now here's where it gets really incredible, right? At the end of that year that he had $10,000 worth of stock, the stock was valued at over $50,000. And it's just the value had jumped. And that wasn't because he did anything extra or that, he came and from selling real estate or that he did anything bigger or better. It just came from selling the real estate that he was going to sell anyway. And of course, now Chris is a walking, talking billboard that'll tell anybody who will stop and listen to him about EXP. And finally, last but not least, we have our unparalleled revenue sharing opportunity that is literally turning the industry upside down. It's phenomenal. And I will tell you that all 4 of these are equally as important these disruptors. People will join for a lot of different reasons, but I'll spend a little bit more time today talking about revenue share just because it's so different than things you've seen before, and it may be a little bit more difficult to understand for that reason. And revenue share is just a way for agents to be rewarded for referring good quality producing agents to the company. And I like to start this part with the question. So how much would you have to save to make $3,000 a month residually? That means it comes in every month whether you go out and earn more money or not. All right, so like I told you with Rob in the beginning, when I saw this part, the revenue share, I thought, man, this is it. This is the perfect business, and this is what I would have created if I were smart enough to do it, really. But sometimes it's just better to be lucky than smart, right? So the easiest way to think about this is as a referral. So if you know somebody moving to California and you connect them with an agent in California, you refer them to that agent, then you know right up front what you're going to get as your referral fee. Let's say it's 25%. Now they buy a house and the commission is $15,000. So you know you're going to get $3,750 for that referral. So the revenue share plan works the same way. Let's say you're an EXP agent and you refer Pat Hayes, and you may have heard of him. He's an agent with EXP here in San Antonio, and he's doing some really great things with our business model. In fact, he's knocking it out of the park. But let's just say that you referred Pat, right? So he's on your first generation, like a family tree, and EXP will track this up to 7 generations. And again, this is just a way for the company to say thank you when you refer an agent to the company, because you're helping the company grow. And as a reward, every time that agent closes a transaction, you're going to receive 3.5% of that revenue. And let's say that you know me and 10 other agents for a total of 12, and we're all producing agents too. We closed 3 million, 4 million or more, so we're all cappers. We all paid $16,000 into the company, and you're going to earn $2,800 of that $16,000 for each of us. But Pat and I, let's say we know a bunch of agents from all across the country, maybe another 10 agents between the two of us. And because you referred Pat and me indirectly, you're responsible for those 10. So they'd be on your second generation. And so you'd receive up to $3,200 a year of that $16,000 that they paid into the company every year that they did that. And if our agents referred people, that would be on your third generation, and you'd receive up to $2,000, and so on, up to 7 referral generations, and we track that. And if you add those numbers up, it comes to $16,000. So we're actually willing and able to pay the entire $16,000 to those agents that qualify. And the way that you qualify is to see that center column there. So for every 5 agents you refer to the company, it unlocks another level of revenue share. So if you refer 5 agents personally, then you unlock the first level and the second, or the first generation and the second generation. And if you refer 10 agents, then you unlock and you get paid on the first, second, and third generation. And so if you have 12 agents you have personally referred, like in this example, so you have Pat and me and 10 others, then you would have more than 10 but less than 15. So you'd unlock the first, the second, and the third generation, but not the 4th through the 7th. So that money stays with the company, and that's what goes to pay the bills and increase the value of the stock and do all those things. So we win no matter what. So let me show you a quick example. So you liked what you heard and you joined EXP and you started building your business, and you end up referring 6 agents to the company in your first year. Now that's less than 1 agent every 2 months. So it's no big feat, right? And those 6, they also refer 6 for a total of 12. So now that can be that one agent brought 6 agents, or each agent brought 1 each, or whatever, any combo, but you end up with 6 and 6. So you follow the numbers, and you just made $36,000 in residual income for that year. Now that comes to $3,000 a month, and that comes in every month if you're sick, if you're on vacation, no matter what, whatever. So remember when we started this and we asked the question, how much would you have to save to make $3,000 a month residually? And that answer is about $1 million, about $750,000, somewhere in there. So the question is, what do you think is easier, saving $1 million or bringing 12 agents to the fastest growing real estate company in US history? And I think this answer is a no-brainer, right? So what are the startup costs, commissions, and fees? Right, so to get set up, it's a one-time fee of $49, and that includes 1,000 business cards, folders, your lead generation system, and everything else that you see. And you pay a whopping $50 a month in technology fee. That's actually really reasonable. And once a year, you pay a $420 tuition fee to cover all of the training. Now, best of all, this fee is taken out of your first closing of the year, and the company splits it with you 80-20, so your portion of that fee is really only $336. And then don't forget that you also get awarded stock for your first closing each year too, so that actually offsets most of this cost anyway. And here's how the commissions break down. So everybody's on an 80-20 split until you cap. Now when you cap, you go to 100% for the rest of the year, and the way you cap is by paying $16,000 to the company, to EXP. So there are no royalty fees, there's no franchise fees, so this is a true 80-20 split, and a cap is closing 2.6 million in volume, or 80,000 in gross commission income, or like I said earlier, when your 20% reaches $16,000. And in my market, that's closing about 12 transactions a year is when you cap. So after you cap, then you go to 100% for the rest of the year, and when you cap, you're awarded stock. So like I mentioned, you're getting paid extra for doing what you were going to do anyway, which is sell real estate. Plus, EXP will honor the cap that you've already paid to your company, so you don't have to wait to move, because that cap will transfer with you. Now we're going to talk about the race to 10,000, or the race to the yes, as I like to call it, because I'm from San Antonio, so I borrowed that slogan from the Spurs. Go Spurs, go! Because the reason it's a race to 10,000 is because all the big companies took about 20 years to hit 10,000 agents. But once they did that, it only took another 3 to 7 years for them to hit 50,000 agents. And then they skyrocketed and grew to 100,000 agents, and Keller Williams took it even further, and they took it to all the way to about 160,000 agents currently. So when you look at that growth and you compare it with the companies like Remax or Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker, Century 21, etc., they all have one thing in common, is that the fastest that any of them ever grew was Keller Williams, and it grew by 53% in 1 year. And I mean, that's a huge, incredible company. That's a huge, incredible jump for 1 year, right? I mean, it is the largest company in the world, like we just talked about. Well, we, meaning EXP, we grew by over 187% nationally last year, and over 800% in Texas. Now that is, by a long shot, makes us the fastest growing company in real estate history. And it's hard to argue with growth like that, and here's how it's happening. Right, so by moving to the cloud, EXP has eliminated 62% of the overhead from the traditional brick and mortar office. That's 62% just poof, completely gone. Now when you do that, when you can remove 62%, obviously that creates a significant advantage, right? So that's an advantage that lets EXP provide the top lead generation systems available to its agents, and to do it for free. That's an advantage that allows EXP to be a publicly traded company and makes us all agent owners of the company. And it's an advantage that allows us to share the EXP, the revenue right off the top. And they share that with agents who have helped grow the company, and it's not based on profits or if the office was profitable or not. That comes right off the top, so there's no confusing formulas or anything like that. So when you create all of those advantages, I mean, it's no wonder why EXP is the fastest growing real estate company in US history, right? In 2004, Mark Zuckerberg invited 5 people to his Harvard dorm room to discuss a business opportunity. Only 2 showed up and they got in. Dustin Moskovich is there in the red, and he's worth $6.5 billion, and Eduardo Severin is worth $3.4 billion. Now what a lesson for those other 3 and for all of us. Nothing is more expensive than a closed mind. And that's crazy to think about, but looking back on it, more than half of the people that he invited didn't even show up. And it's even kind of funny to think too, but do you think Mark Zuckerberg is calling those other guys now and asking them if they can help him grow Facebook? I mean, of course not, right? Why would he? But you're here right now, and we've invited you and wanted you to take a look at this, because we're just looking for people that are looking for us. And we don't chase anyone, and we don't need anyone. And really, I mean, the company doesn't need me. It doesn't need you. This is going to happen with or without you or me. And this is really already happening, and I've just chosen to be a part of it. And if you're like me and you saw this and you thought, man, this is a game changer and I'm ready to take the next step, I want to join EXP, I want to take advantage of all the perks and make more money, be an agent owner, well, I want to help you do all that. And so the next step is to text me 210-364-1462. So text me and let me know if you're available for lunch on Friday. We have a lunch at Ruth's Chris, and you'll be treated to a nice lunch. You'll get another chance to see this presentation with more detail. You'll get to meet some of the local agents, local leaders, and after the lunch, we'll be able to get any of your questions answered. Or if you just can't wait till Friday, you can also text me, and we can set up a three-way call with one of the local company leaders to answer any questions. And either way, text me your email address so I can send you some additional videos and information. This will just help you get better prepared with specific questions that are relevant to you and your situation and your real estate business, your career. So thanks so much for checking this out today, and I look forward to hearing from you and helping you get started.